Hi, I'm Kraig Klaus, and this is State 48 Homeowner.
Hey, my friends, welcome back to another episode of the State 48 Homeowner Podcast. Kraig, you go and meet with a lot of clients.
Yes.
And over the last couple of months, what are on a lot of their minds?
Even not just clients. I mean, like I always joke, it's not hard to get me to talk about real estate. And, I think the biggest question is, what happened to my equity last year? And is my equity that I've earned over the last couple of years, however long, 5, 10, 15, 2 years, however long you've been a homeowner, is that safe?
Right.
And what happened to it and what's it going to look like going forward, right? And when I say safe, people mean, did I lose it? Am I going to lose it? Everybody has 2008 on their mind.
I guess that's the biggest question because I hear it as well. And I always ask, safe from what?
Right.
And you're going into that right now as like, it's like the pending crash is like,
Correct.
Are we going backwards? When is that going to happen? It's still that when question, right?
Absolutely.
And it's an excellent point, too, because people are kind of happy when people are looking at calculating their net worth. Homeowners are pretty happy over the last couple of years because our net worths have risen substantially. But then that question comes up. Is my net worth safe? Is my equity safe?
Yeah, I mean, I think I think in Phoenix we're like almost 60% since 2020 plus appreciation. So, a couple quick, just some numbers to kind of give people an idea. The average sales price in 2023, January of 2023 versus January of 2024 is up 7%. The median is up 4.4%. The difference is that the luxury market in the second half of last year, most of last year, actually did pretty well. Yeah. A lot of that was 2 million plus, and a lot of that was cash sales. And that's a matter of, I think, people reinvesting from stock markets and other areas, another place to put their cash. So they saw it in that opportunity. And so the median sales prices are usually dominated by entry-level and mid-range markets, which have been weaker than the top end, and especially the second half of last year. Going into this year, according to Cromford, there's not enough data for great conclusions, but indicators are better for sellers than buyers. This is consistent with a neutral, balanced market with the trend moving in favor of sellers. I would say a case for mild optimism can be made. There is certainly whatsoever no signs of a housing crash, and that's that. So I look at right now, active listings in the beginning of this year, we had just over 15,000. Last year, we had just under 17,000. So we have less on the market than we did. Under contract is what blew me away. Is to start the year, we were about 5,300. We're at about 7,500 right now, which is a pretty good indication. And we, at one point over a week span, we had gone like 1,800 under contract, which we were down to 900 over a week span or so for a while. And
we're actually seeing some buyers that are, coming into the market that are excited.
Absolutely.
Because they were folks that maybe were looking at buying in Maricopa or Florence or, the lower end of Santan Valley that are now, their buying power is a little bit stronger. Now they're looking at homes in Gilbert or Mesa, and they're excited about that.
Well, and their buying power is stronger, not because prices came down, but because rates have come down.
Right.
And that's a big factor. Overall, we know that the sales were down, I think it was like 10 or 12 or 15% overall last year in terms of volume, right? From like 89,000 sales to 71,000 sales. And that makes people feel like the market is not working in their favor, but we did not see a dramatic price decreases or anything in that regard. Looking ahead more of a national level, the average of the 8 different entities that they kind of use to make up this, which include Goldman Sachs, Mortgage Bankers Association, Zillow, the Home Price Economics Survey, Fannie and Freddie, is 2.6 nationally for the year. Again, I still think locally we're going to be somewhere in the 5 to 7% range for 2024.
For 2024.
Yeah,
okay.
Based on supply and demand. I just think that with the rates continuing to stay under 7, hopefully, and continuing to go down a little bit, and a lot of buyers have been on the sidelines. And I think that when you start to look at the fact that our inventory is less than it was a year ago, and rates are getting better than they were, that combination, like I've said many times before, buyers are coming back before sellers.
Right.
And so, that you're going to see, I believe, an inventory decrease, number of under contract increase, which then causes prices to go up. And so the chief economist, economist, thank you. With mortgage rates dropping, demand for homes in early 2024 is likely to be strong and will put pressure on prices similar to trends observed early of 2023. Most markets will continue to reach new home price highs over 2024. Right. Founder of Altos Research said, we're going into 2024 with slight home price gains, somewhat easing inventory constraints, slightly increasing transaction volume. All things are looking up for housing market in 2024.
Mm-hmm. The Klaus team is different. With the Klaus team, you have someone on your side. Where you live and make memories is important. We have more unique strategies than anyone else to help you accomplish what matters most to you. We can help you with traditional real estate as well as other options such as our lease purchase programs. We can help you buy first then sell, and we can bring you instant offers. We're here to help our neighbors achieve the American dream and help them build wealth through home ownership. For more info or to start your home search, visit us online at klausteam.com.
I think the market will be good. I think they'll be good for sellers. Mm-hmm. And I think with rates coming down, it'll be a good opportunity for buyers. The good thing going forward is, the questions of should I buy a house now with prices are up and rates are still higher, because what if their volume or what if the prices go down? And I'm just saying, we're looking at these data and seeing that there's nothing to indicate that that's going to happen. And any kind of major event that happens will also put more constraint on people wanting secured housing as opposed to rents.
The only signs that we see is that prices will climb. Mm-hmm. The only signs that we see is that any change in the market will be that there's going to be more competition for buyers.
Well, so when you break it down, you take all those pieces, you're talking the basic principle of supply and demand.
Correct.
Period. And I mean, right now we have lack of supply. We're going to have demand, and demand's picking up. And you keep mentioning, interest rates, and they've come down. We're now averaging below 7%. And of course, January was a big month with the Fed meeting, and things kind of climbed a little bit. Chairman Powell came out, said, I'm not going to cut. They didn't cut their first January meeting. Their next one's in March. They kind of hesitated that they're going to cut in March. But as we progress throughout the year, they're definitely going to cut this year.
Yes.
And he's already said that they're not going to hike the Federal Reserve rate.
They've taken that off the table.
Again, not a direct indicator of mortgage rates, but long-term bonds and securities like mortgages love when the Fed says that, because that means that they've got inflation under control.
Yep.
That the economy's slowing where they like. Let the job growth happen. We'll see those bumps. I mean, it's going to go down, but not in a straight line like I always say. Right. But again, as that continues to progress down, interest rates, you're going to get more demand.
Well, it goes back to the lag effect. I mean, look at all the layoffs that we've seen from major corporations announced every day. It seems like more and more. And it's something that, is a lag effect that will show in the numbers coming forward. And, who knows what will bring in that March meeting, depending on, there's a lot of data to come out in between those two things. That they could. It's not priced in right now that they're expecting to, but again, there's things that can change. And I think when you look at the layoffs, you look at the things that are happening, there is a real slow kind of crawl into this recession that everybody's been waiting on. How long will they wait before they get to that?
Well, and even if you get into a recession, even if it's a slight recession, interest rates drop during a recession, because again, the Fed will cut, and they'll generally cut more aggressively, because if we're in a recessionary period, they want to stimulate the economy. So they cut the Federal Reserve rate, which shortens the short-term interest rates, which helps spur the economy. And that's gets lending loosened up and gets things going. And so if it happens, then maybe we're in a recession. If they cut in March, then maybe, there's the signal that we're in one, because they don't tell us until 6 months after the fact anyways. But back to the supply and demand, I mean, it supports your point. People are talking about, should I buy a house now? It's like, well, if you look at it, if rates are going to trend down, supply's not going to pick up, more buyers are coming to market, that's going to support prices stabilizing or even going up, as you've already mentioned. And if we go up another 5 or 6%, in 2024, then the median home price continues to climb. Your value continues to
and
climb.
if you were sitting here at this year last time thinking, I'm not buying, I'm waiting for prices or rates to come down, you lost 7%.
Yeah.
In appreciation, interest write-off, locked in, mortgage, all of those things that we know eventually you can also refi as rates come down and take advantage of that. So I think that the longer people sit on the fence and wait for that perfect storm of prices and rates, the more it's going to get, it's just going to become more competitive for buyers out there.
And if it's more competitive and all of this happens, as we continuously mention in these podcasts, is be prepared.
Yeah.
I mean, talk to someone like myself or a trusted, mortgage advisor and get prepared. I mean, find out what it's going to cost you at today's rates. If they come down, great, then your buying power goes up, but find out where you're at today. Credit, debt, what's it going to take to buy a house, talk to an agent. What are the true costs in buying a home? What programs are out there to maybe help me if I need a little help? Because if you're not prepared, I mean, we see it all the time. The biggest thing that people do is they're surfing the web or we're sending them listings and they're like, Kraig, I love this one. Show me that. I want to go see it. Have you talked to Steve yet? No.
And the smart buyers start a year out. I mean, at least.
And we'll be right back after a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to be talking about what we can do with the equity. If you haven't taken a chance to like and subscribe, take that moment right now.
Hey everyone, this is Kraig Klaus with Klaus Team Real Estate Solutions. We know there's a lot of confusion in today's market, whether it's billboards, TV, radio, mail. Everyone's trying to get your attention. They offer one lane, where at the Klaus Team, we have over 20 different programs. We can help you navigate through to find out what's best for you. And remember, we work for you, they work for themselves. We're here to represent you and make sure you have the best experience possible.
Visit us at klausteam.com/call-us-first. So, Steve.
Yes.
Equity is this magic thing that sits in our house, and it's kind of like Monopoly money.
Magic, huh?
Yeah. So it's this figure that as our property grows in value, it's this value piece that sits there that we it's kind of like Monopoly money. We can't really spend it easily, but we can. So what are the different ways that we can access our equity without selling the house?
Without selling the house. Okay, well, number one is sell the house.
Yeah, and Kraig can help us with that.
Kraig can help you with that. The other ways of accessing the equity in your home, there's several ways to do. I shouldn't say several. There's a handful of ways, most common ways to do it. You can do a standalone second lien. Basically, that means another fixed mortgage that's on top of your current first, and then take either cash out, consolidate debt with that. The other one is similar to a second fixed lien, is that you're going to be your HELOC, your home equity line of credit. And that's basically just getting that line of credit, say, okay, I've got $300,000 in equity in my home. I want to tap $100,000 of it, maybe not spend it all, but I just want to access to that equity. You get a debit card, a checkbook, those types of things that you can utilize, maybe take a little bit out, an initial draw from that home equity line of credit, but it's there. The difference with a HELOC, just to kind of give you a little color on it, is that if for any reason banks start to tighten up, or they see the HELOC product or rates get out of control, or they just change their minds, they can cut your equity line of credit. You'll get a letter in the mail saying, hey, Kraig, your equity line of credit is done. No more access to it. Pay us back.
Yeah.
And that's it. So that's kind of the danger there. And then, of course, the last one is a cash out refinance. And that's most typical. We're actually seeing more of that in the last 6 weeks since mid-December, of cash out refinances and those refinance applications picking up over time to access that, because people are like, okay, well, I've got 3.5, I can get 6.5, 6.75, but I can get rid of all this debt that I've accumulated, whether it's credit card debt or medical bills.
So even if my mortgage payment goes up $1,000 a month, but if I eliminate $1,000 or $1,200 a month in credit cards and car and all these other things, I'm really making out.
I just took a client from a 2.875 FHA loan, but he had enough equity that we got rid of his PMI, paid off all their credit card debt, their student loans that they've now had to start repaying.
Yep.
And he's saving $1,012 a month.
Even though his mortgage
payment went up $683.
Right.
So which a lot of people will go, okay, well, tell me right now, which of the modes is the most expensive down to the least expensive, but it could be a case-by-case basis.
It could be a case-by-case. I mean, I always look at monthly savings, and you can use any one of those. I mean, but if you're talking like cost, to be honest with you, cash out refinance is going to be most expensive. Period. Second lien, a fixed second mortgage is going to be in the middle right there, and then HELOC is going to be the least expensive.
But it's variable.
But it's variable. It's a variable interest rate, and again, it can be stopped at any time at the bank's whim, credit union's whim, whomever, that they just don't see it as a fit for their product mix anymore. So again, those are the top three. But yeah, going in that order, most expensive is going to be a cash out refinance, second lien, and then a HELOC.
And I think the key, one thing I would like to point out is a lot of the stuff we're talking about here is either like, as far as the average prices and things, a local snapshot of our entire market here in the Phoenix area, and some of it's national as well. One of the things I've done this month is reach out to clients that are, homeowners and say, would you like a free equity assessment? Where am I at today? How much is my house worth today? Right. And I can do that by coming to the house, or I can do it without. I can do a market analysis. Like, you can tell me some things about the house. I can give you a range of value I think it would be at today, because it can't just be that we can say, well, if my house was worth $500,000 in January of 23 and it went up 7%, then it should be at $530 today. It's not that apples to apples. It can be specific to areas, locations, things, features, all of those things. So these are kind of general idea to let people know that overall the market is not going backwards. There's no foreclosure tsunami coming. There's no things, every expectation is positive appreciation over the next 5 years.
Well, and to your point with the foreclosures, because I continues to hear that, not continue, but less frequently than is the foreclosure tsunami in just the last 3 months. And Mortgage Bankers Association does the delinquency rate that 90 plus and foreclosure starts have either stayed stable, which they're at all-time lows, or they've improved.
Right.
So not coming. Yeah, I shouldn't say not coming, but not in the foreseeable future.
And we had a client recently that was in that position, but he was able to, and through different ways, get caught up. And so, he's another one that comes off of that statistic of a 90-day late. He's no longer. He's paying his mortgage on time. Sure. He's caught up, and everything's fine. So, yeah, I mean, there's just not. That's not going to happen. And again, even if there was 100,000 foreclosures in the valley and they hit the market all at the same time, they're going to get swallowed up. I mean, there's just
we could use the inventory.
So again, that we're just not seeing that. But equity and specifics are focused on you and your neighborhood and your area too. So if you're curious about your own. And again, I don't have to come to the house. We're not going to spam you and do all these different things. I just, I like people to be aware of where they're what they're sitting on and what their value of their biggest asset is specific to them.
Yeah, and I think that's important because unfortunately a lot of times we go online. I mean, I've done it myself. Yeah. You see what Zillow says about your house. You look at Realtor.com. It's like call a true professional. Have them give you an idea of your market, what features. I mean, you probably have a list of maybe 4 or 5 questions you ask somebody generally, and just say, hey, based on your neighborhood, here it is. I mean, in this area, I've heard you talk to people like, oh, I know that model. You walk in here, and here's the great room, the kitchen's back there, the bedroom off to the left. So you know your stuff, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah, and I think that it's a matter of, I always tell people, if you see your Zestimate and you don't agree with it, send it to me. Let me know. Yeah. And I'll take a look at it because, that's another thing. Sometimes I'll do that with clients. I go, hey, here's your Zestimate. Let me tell you why it's wrong. Give me a call. And, that way, because sometimes it's wrong in their favor. Sometimes it's more likely than not.
Hey, Zillow doesn't. We put a pool and redid our whole backyard, and Zillow doesn't have it. So
because they don't care, because they don't look at it that way. They look at every single house in that neighborhood being the same.
Right.
They come up with an average sold price, an average square footage. They assign that price per square foot to every house,
and it's totally different.
And I've never had a buyer say, I want to buy a house based on this price per square foot, no matter what it has, no matter where it is, no matter anything, right?
The CEO of Zillow sold his house for a couple million less than his estimate.
Correct.
So.
And the guy that started ForSaleByOwner.com sold his house.
I hadn't heard that. That makes sense.
Sold his house to a realtor after trying for 6 months on his own. So go figure.
Awesome. So is my equity safe, Kraig?
It is.
Beautiful.
So if you would like to see what your options are with your equity, or if you would like to see how much equity you have, you can reach out to either Kraig or Steve, and you can find them pretty easily at klausteam.com or by calling 480-354-7344. Thanks a lot, guys.
Awesome.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Scott.
Thanks for spending time with us this week at State 48 Homeowner, the ins and outs of owning an Arizona home. You can connect with us for more information, submit topics you'd like us to further discuss. You can see relevant videos, give us feedback, answer your real estate questions, and more at state48homeowner.com.